I found out my wife was cheating on me while I was 8,000 miles away, alone in a cramped Tokyo apartment, hunched over my laptop between shifts, eating cold instant noodles. Not through a dramatic confession. Not even from a suspicious text. It came from a shared Amazon account, a single notification that changed everything. It was a gift order, a necklace, delicate, expensive, with a note that read, "You make me feel alive again. My name is Alex. I'm 36, and back then, I was in Japan on a 2-year contract for an engineering consulting firm. It was the kind of opportunity you don't pass up, especially when you've got a family to support. My wife Rachel had encouraged me to take the job, promised she could handle things back home in Texas, said this was a chance to build something bigger for us. And I believed her. We talked every night. FaceTime, texts. I sent her playlists, silly gifts, recorded bedtime stories for our daughter Maddie. I tried to keep us connected. I thought the distance was just temporary. I thought love would carry us through. But what I didn't realize was that while I was across the world trying to build our future, she was already writing me out of her life. After that necklace notification, something in me changed. I didn't confront her. I didn't ask questions. I opened the order history instead. And there it was, more red flags than I knew what to do with. Lingerie, concert tickets, a weekend hotel booking in Austin. The same weekend she told me she'd be visiting her sister. And then, the final crack. A photo accidentally uploaded to our family cloud. Her smiling at a table, wine in hand. And across from her, a man's arm, his fingers laced in hers. Not a friend. Not a coworker. Intimate. Familiar. Too familiar. I sat there in silence, staring at the screen, my chest hollow, heart pounding. There were no tears, no screaming, just a cold, still moment when everything I thought I knew shattered, and a quiet voice inside me whispered, "She thinks you're too far away to do anything about it." And maybe I was, but I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to beg, and I damn sure wasn't going to play the victim. I was going to do what I've always done best. Stay quiet, pay attention, and hit where it hurts. Because Rachel might have thought she won the moment she slipped that necklace around her neck. But what she didn't know was that I wasn't broken. I was just getting started. And when I strike, I don't miss. She thought distance made me powerless. She thought I'd never find out. But I don't need to raise my voice to make an impact. I just need the truth, a plan, and time. Comment below if you've ever had to stay silent, hold the pain, and wait for the right moment to rise. Subscribe now because I start building the trap, one she'll never see coming. There's something dangerous about a man with too much time and too much pain. And when you're 13 hours ahead, wide awake at 3 a.m. in a foreign city, staring at evidence that your wife is building a new life without you, something in you shifts. I didn't confront Rachel. I didn't even tell her I knew. Instead, I smiled on our next video call, asked how Maddie was doing, told her I missed home. I listened to her lie to my face, and I took notes. I wasn't emotional anymore. I was operational. The first thing I did was clone our shared cloud. Not just the photos. Everything. Calendar entries, contact lists, saved locations. I started mapping a timeline, cross-checking every weekend trip, every girl's night, every silent evening where she said she was too tired to talk. I cross-referenced it all with hotel bookings, rideshare receipts, and Google Maps pings from our synced accounts. She didn't just cheat. She left a digital trail so sloppy it was practically a confession. His name was Marcus, a gym trainer, recently divorced, 5 years younger than her, and judging by the hotel bills and dinner tabs, she was footing the cost of her fantasy. I even found a note in their shared calendar. Anniversary. First kiss. Our actual wedding anniversary was still 2 months away. I sat there, in that apartment overlooking neon-lit Tokyo, watching my marriage unravel 1 gigabyte at a time. But I wasn't just watching. I was building a case. I created folders, screenshots, timestamps, labeled everything by category. Finance, infidelity, abandonment. I started consulting with a US-based lawyer on Zoom, Melissa, sharp as hell and no time for games. She looked through my documentation and said one sentence I'll never forget. If we move smart, you won't just win this. You'll own the ending. That's when I decided this wasn't just going to be about betrayal. It was going to be about strategy. Because Rachel didn't just betray me. She tried to erase me. From our home. From our daughter's life. From the life I worked day and night across the world to build for us. She thought I was too far to stop her. But I wasn't far. I was focused. And every move she made from that point on, every text, every overnight trip, every lie she told, I was watching, waiting, and getting ready to strike. When I booked the flight back to Texas, I didn't tell anyone. Not my parents. Not my coworkers. Not even Rachel. I needed it that way. I landed on a Wednesday afternoon. The sky was dull, gray, fitting, honestly. I didn't go home. That house wasn't mine anymore. At least not emotionally. She'd filled it with secrets, and I wasn't about to walk through that front door like everything was normal. I went straight to a hotel and stayed quiet, observing, calculating. The next morning, I drove past the house. Her car was in the driveway. So was a silver Jeep. One I'd never seen before, but I recognized it instantly. From the photos. It was Marcus's. They weren't even hiding it anymore. I didn't knock. I didn't make a scene. Instead, I drove to my lawyer's office and handed Melissa everything I had gathered. Digital records, receipts, messages, and most importantly, proof that while I was sending money back to support my family, Rachel had been draining our joint account to play house with someone else. But it got worse. We found she had filed a change of address form with the school to list Marcus as a secondary emergency contact for Maddie. Without telling me. Without my consent. That was the moment everything clicked. She wasn't just cheating. She was replacing me. She wanted me erased not just as a husband but as a father. And I had stayed quiet long enough. So we filed. For divorce. For custody. For asset protection. But we didn't deliver the papers right away. No, Melissa had an idea. Something brutal, beautiful, and legal. We waited 2 more days. Then, on a Saturday morning, I showed up at the house. Unannounced, uninvited, and rang the doorbell. Rachel opened the door half-dressed. Mascara smudged like she hadn't expected anyone to see her before noon. Behind her, Marcus appeared, shirtless and confused. I didn't say a word. I handed her the envelope. You've been served. Her eyes widened. She looked down at the papers, then back up at me. Wait, what is this? I smiled. You thought I was powerless overseas. You forgot who I am. And I turned around and walked away. No shouting. No begging. No drama. Just silence. And the sound of everything she'd built on lies. Starting to collapse. 2 days after I served her the divorce papers, Rachel did exactly what I predicted she would. She played the victim. It started with a long post on Facebook, carefully worded, dripping with guilt-flipping language. I never expected to be ambushed. I'm doing my best as a mother. I was abandoned overseas with a child to raise on my own. She didn't mention Marcus. She didn't mention the hotel bills, the missing funds, the forged school paperwork. No. She just wrote about emotional pain and being caught off guard. And the comments? They poured in like rain on a tin roof. You're so strong. He did what to you? Men are the worst. I didn't respond. I didn't like or share. I didn't even look at it twice. Because I knew something she didn't. I had receipts, and I had already shared them with the people who mattered. The next week, we had our first court hearing. It wasn't a full trial. Just the temporary hearing to determine custody and financial arrangements until the divorce played out. But Rachel came in like she was starring in a courtroom drama. Pale blouse, no makeup, hair tied back just enough to scream. Frazzled mom under stress. She even brought Maddie, which was a clear violation of the judge's pre-hearing instructions. When the judge asked why, Rachel said, voice shaking, I just thought it would be good for her to see how strong her mommy is. I could feel Melissa stiffen beside me. Rachel didn't care about the hearing. She was performing for the courtroom, for her social media followers, maybe even for herself. But what she didn't know was that while she was crafting a narrative, I'd already dismantled it. Melissa stood up and calmly submitted a folder. neatly labeled, time-stamped, cross-referenced. Credit card statements. Messages between her and Marcus. A signed affidavit from the school administrator confirming Rachel had forged my signature to change Maddie's records. Even a private investigator's report with photos of Marcus picking Maddie up from school. Twice. In clear violation of our custody agreement. The judge flipped through the folder, face expressionless. Then he looked at Rachel. "Do you have any documentation to dispute these claims?" She froze, eyes darted. Then she said the one thing that sealed her fate. "None of that matters. He left us." That silence afterward was the loudest thing in the room. Because in that moment, the judge didn't see a mother protecting her child. He saw someone trying to weaponize emotion and getting caught without evidence. He looked at her, then at me, then calmly said, "Temporary full custody is awarded to Mr. Alex until further review." Rachel's mouth dropped open. She turned to her lawyer, but it was too late. She had built her case on feelings. I built mine on facts. And in a courtroom, facts win. After the courtroom loss, I thought maybe Rachel would finally back off. That the silence meant she was regrouping, maybe even reflecting. But if I'd learned anything by now, it was this: when someone's built their whole identity on control, they don't take losing lightly. And she hadn't accepted defeat. She was just shifting platforms. It started on TikTok. A faceless video. Sad piano music, stock footage of a woman crying, an overlaid text that read, "He left us in another country. My daughter asks why Daddy doesn't love us anymore." No names, no faces, just enough to sound heartbreaking, universal, believable. And it went viral. 500,000 views in 4 days. Thousands of comments. People telling her she was brave, that they'd been through the same thing, that no mother should be abandoned like that. I watched the video in my hotel room, jaw clenched, chest tight, knowing exactly who she was talking about, and realizing most of the world had no clue they were being manipulated. She didn't need facts. She had sympathy. And people, especially online, don't wait for both sides. It didn't take long before my inbox started to fill. Emails, messages, even a few veiled threats. Someone leaked my LinkedIn profile. One of Rachel's followers commented on a photo of Maddie and me at the park, accusing me of being a deadbeat trying to save face. She was building a mob. Slowly, strategically, one post at a time. But what she didn't know was, I was already recording everything. Every post, every story, every comment where she slipped and gave away a little too much. And thanks to the same tech skills that got me my job in Japan, I traced the IP address of the TikTok account right back to her Wi-Fi router. She forgot who she married. I met with Melissa the next day and gave her everything. We filed a cease and desist within 24 hours. But we didn't stop there. We attached it to a motion claiming intentional defamation and parental alienation, backed by screenshots, timelines, and forensic-level metadata. It wasn't just embarrassing behavior anymore. It was a legal liability. And then, quietly, we leaked something of our own. Not drama, not insults, just facts. A single blog post, published anonymously but sourced with real documents, court transcripts, statements from the school, bank records. No emotion, just truth. It didn't go viral like her video did, but it found its way into the right circles, law forums, parenting groups, even local media. Within days, her narrative started to crumble. People began questioning the timeline, asking why no photos of the abandonment ever surfaced, noticing inconsistencies between what she posted and what actually happened. She tried to delete everything, but the internet doesn't forget. And the court? They took it seriously, very seriously. The judge issued a formal warning. If she continued, she'd face contempt and potential custody violations. Suddenly, the sympathy she'd weaponized became a spotlight, and under it, her lies wilted. I didn't have to destroy her. She did that herself. All I did was make sure everyone could finally see it. After everything, after the courtroom collapse, the TikTok smear campaign, the deleted posts and court warnings, I thought Rachel would keep her distance. But instead, she reached out. Not through lawyers. Not on social media. She texted me directly, late on a Wednesday night, 2 weeks after her last stunt fell apart. Can we talk? Just us. One time. Please. For a second, I almost ignored it. After everything she'd done, what more could she possibly say? But curiosity is a funny thing. It doesn't knock. It whispers. And no matter how far you think you've moved on, some part of you still wonders why. I told her we could meet, but it had to be public. No drama. No games. Just two people sitting at a table, in the middle of a cafe, under fluorescent lights where nothing could hide. She walked in looking smaller. Not physically, but emotionally. The air around her wasn't defiant anymore. It was hollow, tired. The mask she used to wear so easily, that controlled, confident, polished version of herself, was gone. She didn't say hello, didn't even ask how I was. She just sat down, looked me in the eye and said, "I didn't think it would end like this." I didn't respond. She kept going. I was angry. I was alone. And the longer you were gone, the more I started telling myself stories. That you didn't care, that you were better off without us, that maybe I deserved more. I sat there, hands still, letting her fill the silence. "I wasn't trying to destroy you," she said. "I just didn't want to feel like I was the one who got left behind." And there it was. The truth, not dressed up or filtered. Just raw and pitiful. Not an apology. Not even an excuse. Just the unraveling of a woman who built her self-worth on control and lost everything when it slipped away. I looked at her and finally spoke. "You didn't destroy me, Rachel. You tried. But you taught me something more valuable than anything else. You taught me who I never want to become." She looked away then. Maybe because she knew I meant it. Maybe because there was nothing left to say. We didn't hug. We didn't promise to be friends. We just nodded, paid for our drinks, and walked out into two different directions of the same night. And in that moment, I felt something I hadn't in months. Peace. Not victory. Not vengeance. Just the stillness that comes when the war is truly over. The legal battles were over. The lies were exposed. Rachel was out of the picture, and the noise had finally faded. But Maddie was still watching me like I might disappear. She didn't say it out loud. Kids rarely do. But it was in the way she paused before running into my arms. The way she clutched her backpack a little tighter when I picked her up from school. The way she asked small questions that didn't sound like much, until you heard the fear behind them. "Are you staying for dinner tonight, Daddy? Do you have to go to Japan again? Do I get to come to your house next week too?" She wasn't looking for answers. She was looking for promises. And after everything Rachel had poisoned her with, every whispered narrative about how I left them, how I chose work over family, how I didn't want to be around, I couldn't blame her. So I didn't push. I just showed up. Every single time. I was early for every pickup. I packed her lunch with the silly notes she used to giggle at. I sat through school plays with a smile, even when she only had 2 lines. I cooked breakfast every Saturday, even when she barely touched the pancakes. I let the silence exist between us. Not because I didn't care, but because I wanted her to know that I'd still be there when she was ready to fill it. And slowly she did. One night, I was tucking her in, and she looked at me with those same wide eyes she had when she was 4. She whispered, "Mom said you stopped loving us." I didn't flinch. I leaned in, brushed her hair back and said, "I never stopped loving you, Maddie. Not for a second. I just had to fight to come back." She didn't say anything right away, but her hand reached for mine, and she didn't let go. That was the moment I knew I was winning. Not in court, not online, not in the eyes of strangers, but right there in that quiet bedroom where my daughter finally started to believe in me again. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about redemption. Not just proving who I wasn't, but showing her, every day, who I am. And no one, not Rachel, not rumors, not distance, could take that from me. It's funny how the most important moments in life don't feel like headlines when they happen. There's no dramatic music, no grand announcement, just a quiet evening, the smell of grilled cheese in the kitchen, the sound of a child laughing from another room, and a sudden realization that you made it through, that you survived, that you're still here. I was folding laundry on a Sunday afternoon when Maddie walked in with a crayon drawing clutched in her hand. She handed it to me without saying anything. It was simple, just two stick figures holding hands. A little girl. And me. Above our heads, she had written 3 words. Me and Daddy. No flames. No courtroom. No revenge speech. Just that drawing and the weight of what it meant. She remembered who I was. She trusted me again. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I exhaled. I thought this story started with betrayal, with being cast aside, with watching the woman I trusted most tear our life apart while I was across the world trying to build a better one. But that wasn't the beginning. The real story began the moment I decided not to match her chaos with rage. When I chose discipline over drama, facts over fury, when I stopped trying to win her back, and started fighting for the one person who mattered more than anything. My daughter. Rachel thought I was powerless overseas. She forgot I'm the kind of man who studies in silence, who waits, plans, moves with precision, and when the moment's right, acts without hesitation. I didn't just win a custody battle. I rebuilt a bond. I reclaimed my name. I gave my daughter a version of her father that no lie could erase. And the truth? That's all I ever wanted. Not revenge. Not to destroy Rachel. Just to be what Maddie needed me to be. The one who never left, even when I was forced away. The one who always came back. And stayed. Some people think power is about control. About loud voices and winning arguments. But real power? It's in showing up. Quietly. Consistently. And proving day by day that love never needed an audience to be real. If the story meant something to you, leave a comment. Not for me, but for the people still fighting to be seen, to be heard, to be believed. And if you're one of them, I see you. Subscribe for more stories like this, because sometimes the most powerful revenge is healing in public.